this is your snack sandwich. Today I have a quick video on Florence Finance. Now this is a video that came to me. It's one of the applicants for an ARB grant that I was reviewing. And at first I was kind of like, I don't really like it. But then I started to look deeper and I started to think about like what they did here. And they've done something pretty unique. And they do have they're connecting real world assets and real world finance to DeFi finance, right? So I think this is pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. It's definitely not for everybody, but there's some really good ideas in here, and they've solved the problem of like degenerates want liquidity, and traditional finance has term deposits and term borrows and term stuff like this. So anyhow, let's go. I have a flowchart to kind of explain to you how this thing works. It's not a huge protocol. Like as you can see, TVL is about 5 million. It's not insanely, but if you look on 5 million, they've generated about 200K worth of interest on those loans and stuff and paid that out. So the APYs are pretty good on these vaults. Both of them have some specifics. If you go in here, you can read kind of how this one differs from the other one and the different places, the actual different real world companies here that are borrowing in the terms of their deposits. And as you can see, the duration is usually about a year or something like that. Okay, so I do have a flow chart for you. So we'll use the flow chart to explain this. The one thing I will mention though is the liquidity pools on Camelot. This is the FLR token. I will be talking about a couple tokens, but this is pretty much the main token of this protocol and what everything kind of gets done in with this protocol. Okay, so let's swing over to the flowchart and take a look at that. Okay, so here comes Dollar Bill. Dollar Bill is he's TradFi whale. He's conservative. He's got a long-term game in his mind. And let's say he has some USDC or some of these Euro stablecoins, right? I'm sure these stablecoins, these options might change or differ for individuals, but I'm going to use these two just to kind of illustrate it that they're currently using USDC, but they kind of want to swing towards Euro because most of the dealings that they have are in euros. Okay, so what does he do? He goes through KY procedures. They check him over. They give him a whitelist. They say, yeah, you can do it. And he has to deposit a substantial amount. I think it was 100K. And so he deposits 100K assets in here. Let's say 100K USDC or something, or 100K Euro stablecoins or something like that, right? So he deposits those in there, and he's kind of committing to kind of a long-term thing here. Okay, sort of. And what he does when he does this deposit, right? He's immediately minted these FLR tokens, which are kind of like 1-to-1 to, I believe, euro. Okay, 1-to-1 to euros, right? And he has these FLR tokens. They're immediately minted and they're put into the vault, and he's given vault share tokens. Okay, and they work like every other kind of like auto compounding vault, so to speak. Okay. Then that money that was put into this contract here goes through the rails into the TradFi system. So they off ramp it back to fiat, and then they have this fiat in this contract in this other company, so to speak, like kind of like a real world company, and in a bank and stuff. And they use this company to process SME loans. Now I had to look this up. It's small medium equity loans. Okay, so it's kind of like small businesses, or you got to think about how much they're borrowing. Like if you looked at some of those borrowing numbers when I was showing you the first page, there was like $1 million or $500,000. So they're not substantially huge, but they're substantial enough that it's not like $60,000 or $10,000 or something like this. Okay. And he said, and in the docs it says less than 2 years, but on the front end I couldn't find anything that was over 2 years either. Okay, so they take that money and they give out these term deposit loans or term loans to these businesses, and the businesses promise to pay a certain ROI on that, right? Now, the DGen comes along. He wants to play with this because he wants to have some action on that, but he doesn't want to go through KYC. He doesn't have big bags of coin to stick in here. Okay, so instead he goes to Camelot and he gets some USDC, and he uses USDC to buy this FLR token off of the market. And as you saw, it was a little bit over $1, so it was kind of close to like a euro, right? And now he's got some of these FLR tokens inside his his pocket here. And now if a dollar bill wanted to get out, he could sell through this because he's got a whole bunch of FLR tokens in his vault, right? Now with these tokens, he can do a couple things. One is he can deposit them into the protocol and the same vault and get back vault tokens on his own, right? And the other thing he can do is he can stake them into the staker contract and earn this FFM token. And it's like the governance token of this protocol. So you'll have to dig a little bit deeper, find out if this token does have any value to you, whether or not you want to farm it in this manner. Okay. And the last thing that we should talk about is eventually every quarter, they're doing it quarterly, but they can do it as often as they want, right? So they take those interest payments from those companies, and they basically use those interest payments. They convert it into the stable coin, right? USDC, and then they take that USDC, they buy the tokens, or they mint new tokens because they have more assets inside here. So the idea here is that they want to build up assets inside here that are not being redeemed so that people could use FLR to arbit. So if the pool is way off, right, instead of having to buy through the pool, then they can just like people can just come and redeem. So they can buy from the pool and immediately redeem for USDC, and they can keep the peg in that manner. Okay. So that's pretty much how I understand this thing. I think it's pretty cool. I really like this idea of how they're connecting it to the real world. If you really want to dig deep and really invest in this and kind of use this or be one of these characters in this, you'd really want to look at this like off-ramping process a little deeper than I have. I haven't really looked at it very far. I'm just kind of looking at the system at this point and feel like it's ready to be shared. So as always, do some more due diligence, look deeper, but I hope this has been useful and interesting. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.